Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another awesome Blender tutorial with me, Ryan. And today we are going to learn how to fly a kite. No, we are going to learn we're basically starting off with wind simulation in Blender. I was going to do liquid, but let me tell you, liquid is very heavy on your machine. And so we will be looking at that soon coming up. But I thought what would be simple and what a great tutorial to start the year 2021 off with is wind. Yes, how to simulate wind like this. So this is what we're going to be doing. You can put your own design here. I mean, we've learned about UV texturing, etc. So you know how to do that. All right, so shall we get started then? Right, so let's kick off. I'm going to create a new file over here. I think I should have saved that, but anyway, no worries. Okay, I'm going to delete that. The first thing we're going to kick off with right here, so you guys can just stay close. So here we go. Shift A to create a new object. I'm going to start off with our pole, our cylinder. I am also going to take my cylinder, because what happens is that the first time I create the cylinder, I have an option to change the amount of vertices, or if you're an older version of segment, of Blender, they can also be called segments, right? I like to think of them as segments. I've got 32 of these vertices over here, or 32 of these guys over here, these edges over here, and we don't need so many. So you can see already I've gone into edit and my box has disappeared. So oh man, anyway, at least you guys know. So I'm going to remove that. Let's try that again. Mesh cylinder. I'm going to bring it down to 16, because any lower, you can see any lower and it might just get a bit too chunky. Right, I'm going to scale down to about I'd say about that much. And then right, for a pole, I think that looks a bit too thick, maybe. Okay, let's scale down just a little bit. Right, there you go. Okay, I am going to, my goodness. Okay, I'm going to go back into edit mode. Face selection by hitting 3. If you guys don't know much about the keyboard shortcuts, please, I do have a tutorial on Blender Beginners. Go check that out. I go through the whole of Blender, and it's chapters. It's in chapters, so you don't need to search for that. Right, so I've selected the top face. I'm hitting E for extrude, and Z, so that I extrude in the Z axis. I'm going to pull it up, go out of edit mode. Right, we've got our pole, a very thick pole, but you know, it depends on how you want to look at it. Otherwise, I can just hit S for scale, and I can press Shift Z, because I just want to extrude on the Y and X axis. Right, okay, don't know about you, I'm happy with that as the pole for the flag. Next thing I'm going to do, Shift A. Now let me show you a very cool trick. I can start off and I can create my plane, and it'll kick up right over there. Then I can alter it. But what I prefer to do, and this is a very good tip, I've got that face selected. I press Shift S, and I can say cursor to selection, which moves the cursor up there. I can then go Shift A, and I can add my plane. It adds it over there. Awesome, pretty cool. It's ready on top, right? Because we're starting this here off on top. Then I need to rotate it, so R for rotation, I'm going to hit 90. No, R for rotation in the Y axis, so R, Y, 90 will get me there. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to make sure that I don't move it in the X axis, so I've done G for grab, and then Shift X will then move my flag in just the Z and the Y. You guys need to keep up with me here. All right, so there you go. I'm going to get it nice in position. I'm going to make sure it's as close to the pole as possible. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edit mode to select this this edge over here, and I'm going to grab G for grab in the Y axis and get it about over there. All right, don't worry if my proportion is a bit off between the pole and the flag. We can fix that up later, adjust it a lot later. Let's get through this quickly because the year has just started. Right, then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to need to, before I can even add any simulations on here or forces and that, well, sims, sim equals simulation. All right, I'm setting my variable there for any programs, if you understand what I'm talking about. So whenever I say the word sim, it's simulation. Before I add any sims to this, we need to prepare the flag, because right now it's literally just one face, and that's not going to bend anywhere. How do you bend a flat piece of paper? Well, except for if you can crumple it, right? That means it needs to bend, right? So right now it's as hard as a piece of metal. Okay, so what I'm going to do is Command R or Control R, and I'm going to add in a cut there. And then what I'm going to do is go into vertices, select mode by hitting one on my keyboard, and I'm going to select everything. I'm going to right click, I'm going to hit subdivide. Right, then I'm going to do it. In fact, you know what, wait, before we do that, let me just show you something, right? So right now, when I'm subdividing, you can see it's long ways, right? I found this really neat little trick. Let me go before I added in that edge loop. And that is because I've altered the standard block, all right? I need to go Control A, and this allows me to basically reset the object's transform data. So I'm going to say Alt Transform, which means that what's happened now is if I go look at my object, let me just show you something quickly before I did that. So before, you can see my rotations changed, my location, and okay, there you go, my dimensions, my Y has changed, right? Which means that when I UV unwrap this, I'm going to have a lot of trouble. So what I need to do, and I can just start this right now, is Control A, all transformation. It's going to keep what I've done, and it's going to keep everything over here except for my dimensions. Why on earth would you? Okay, no, that's your dimensions because it's long. Okay, no problem. Sometimes you might have found that to get your flag this long, maybe you just scaled it in Y, because you might ask me, Ryan, why can't I just scale? A is for scale, Y, and then do that. Okay, which you can. You know what? I will requote Andrew Kramer. If you don't know who Andrew Kramer is, just Google him. He says there's many ways to get the effect as long as you get it. That's what matters. Right, so now that I've done it that way, you can see my scale has altered, right? And which means that when I UV unwrap it, it's going to UV unwrap it still according to its original shape, right? I might have just answered a lot of people's problems. So Control A, apply to all transformations, and there you go. My scale is back there again. All right, still got my dimensions there if you want to know, hey, that's actually pretty cool. So in other words, I know that how long my flag is and how tall it is. Wow, pretty cool. Okay, anyway, where were we? So let's go back into edit mode by hitting tab, Command or Control R, depending on your Mac, or if you're on a Windows machine. I'm going to add in a loop cut there, and yeah, that's it. I'm not going to move it anywhere, and then I'm going to go back to vertice mode by hitting 1, and then what I'm going to do is then right click, subdivide. Doesn't look any, no, it is, look at that, it's more sort of squarish, I think. Okay, anyway, right click, subdivide again, and I'm going to do it one more time. Now what this allows me to do is that when I add on the cloth simulation, this is going to be able to bend quite nicely. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to add on the cloth sim onto this. So you find under this tab, nope, under this tab over here, there it is, cloth sim. You can add it in there. I wouldn't worry about anything else. Now watch this, when I press play, the sim cloth, it's just falling because the cloth sim is already taking into effect. Pretty awesome, hey? Aren't you happy that you did that? Right, the next thing that we need to do is that so that my flag stays to this pole over here, I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to select these vertices over here, and I'm going to select these vertices over here, and I'm going to attach them onto, well, I'm going to make them stiff, right? And I do that under over here. I'm going to create a new vertice group. All right, awesome. And I'm going to hit assign. So what I've done is I've created the group, and now those that I've selected, I'm assigning it to that group. Pretty awesome, hey? Right, the next thing that I'm going to do is come back to my sims over here, and I believe it is under shape, and then there's my pin group. So I'm going to pin those vertices. I can just hit here. There's my group already done. Now when I press play for Blender to simulate the cloth, there you've got your cloth now. Pretty cool. All right, that is the beginning of a very beautiful thing. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in some wind. right? So that's Shift A under force field, and this is the first time we're playing with this. Hey, so I'm going to keep it quite simple, right? You add in wind. Now this is the direction that your wind is blowing in, and those little circles there, how close and how far apart they are is how strong they are. So I can have this selected, I can hit R and then X, and I can say which way I want the wind to blow. Right, so I want it there, so let's maybe position it more over, yeah, like that, just so that we get the idea. It doesn't matter where I position it, what matters is which way the arrow is blown. Right, then I can come into my force field here, I can push the strength up. You see, now I know I'm making it a lot stronger. And if you want to know how strong you need to make it, press play. There you go, it's already going to take effect. Okay, I'm going to make it stronger, so I'm going to push up the strength of my wind, and you can see it's going to be strong enough. I'm going to push it up. Oh my goodness, why is my wind simulation not working? Alright, you can see. Sure, okay, let me punch this all the way up to 1000. There you go, and that is my wind simulation that is kicked in. Right, so now the next thing that I want to do is I would like to get this flag a lot more smoother looking, because you can see it's very blocky, and that's pretty cool. You can do that. So right click, shade smooth, and there it is. The next thing that we need to take care of is that if I bring the wind down, right, let's go 500, you're going to see that the cloth is actually colliding with itself. Right, I said the cloth is busy colliding with itself. Okay, let me bring it down quite a bit. So there you can see already there's some weird stuff going on there. And okay, maybe in your simulation you found that your cloth started colliding with itself and doing weird artifacts. You can see there's still a bit of square here, so you know, don't be afraid to just right click and shade smooth. You know, at most what you can do is then go and you guys who have been following my tutorials along, you can add in a modifier. You can actually add in your subdivision modifier as well. Maybe pull that up to 2. There you go. Now you got it nice and smooth. It might lag your machine a bit, but anyway, that's not the point. The point is now, if you find that your cloth is colliding with itself, you can see the cloth is actually behaving itself today. Maybe it's because of the updated cloth or the updated blender. But if you find that it is colliding with itself, no problem. Just go back into your cloth simulation here, and I'm going to turn it on. So you scroll all the way down, and under collisions, you are going to click on self collision. The other thing that you need to do is on the pole as well. You need to go into your physics tab over here and also add on a collision. Right. The other thing that you can do is depending on what cloth you're going to be using. Let's say you want more of a heavy flag, because looking at my flag over here, it looks like a piece of material. I can make it. I can also adjust the stiffness. The stiffness and the damping of the cloth, right? So first of all, let me just kick my wind up over here. Again, let's go 250, because we even found that 250 was pretty awesome. There you go, so nice. Okay, there you go. As the plane flies over me, you can hear the plane. If you can't, well, there's a plane flying over me. So here we go. So going into my cloth, going back into my sim settings, right? Now, there are two factors here. It is my stiffness and my damping. So this is what I did, right? In my bending, I put them both up to 0.1. And then what I did also is then I took my stiffness tension and I put it up to 5. Right, take it right to the beginning. Let's have a look at what it has done. You can see it feels a lot more heavier. It just got a bit more weight on it. It really has that, because you know flags are usually that heavy, right? Okay, and then another thing that you might want to look out for, so you can see over here how my flag has got a very rounded edge. Obviously that is because of the the subsurface modifier. So something that you can do is I've got these vertices over here selected. There you go. Alright, I can press N to go into this, and then there's this mean crease. So just push that all the way up. Alright, there you go. That's looking, and there you go. There your flag is looking a lot better on the edge there. The other thing, like I said when you first create the flag, is make sure that the flag is as close to the pole as possible. So you can see I got a bit of a gap. Alright, grab Y, get it close there as possible. Alright, and there you go. Yeah, there's our flag. Now if you want to texture or add in a flag and your country's flag on here, you can do that. Go check out my tutorial on UV texturing. This is a very simple UV texture. You don't need to UV unwrap it or anything like that. In fact, yeah, it should be actually good to go. All right, maybe I'll do that on our next tutorial, because I do want to continue on the wind. We're going to get a lot more in detail. And then just to finish off this tutorial, I'm going to go into my shading. I'm going to select my flag. And very cool, we also did a tutorial on shaders. And the cool thing about Blender, from I think it was 2.71, they added a default Blender, physical, this one, Principal BSDF, which is a very simple to use, very basic, but very real. And I find this the most easiest shader to use. Go check out my tutorial. You can use you can select a dielectric material or a more reflective material. You can adjust it. So this is pretty straightforward. I've gone into my shading tab, which means I've got my preview on over here. Okay, and I can select whichever color I want. Let's say I'm going to go with the more green. Let's go with the blue. Yes, like a more royal blue. I'm going to bring the roughness just that little bit down. I can even play while I'm watching it, because you can actually check now how my, while the flag is actually waving, you can see the specular highlights, just to see that you're getting that cool effect. I bring the roughness down, it starts looking more like a metal. Well, the edges are sharper, it's more like a very shiny plastic. Or I can take the roughness all the way up, and you don't see too much specular. Alright, so that is completely up to you. Alright, and so that is the beginning of our wind tutorial. I triple dare all of you to go and put your flag onto this flag, as in attach it as a material. If you did it correctly with the Control A, resetting all your that detail, then you shouldn't really have an issue with that. Alright, in the next tutorial we're going to do something similar to that, but we're going to get a bit more detailed into this wind simulation, because there's a lot more about the wind simulator to this. But you can see how quickly you can set it up. Imagine what else you can do it with strings. There was a tutorial that I saw even with newspapers. That one I'd like to get into, because that must be pretty cool. So we can have a lot of fun with wind. Alright guys, so with that said and done, there's my email. So if you have done this, comment below. Send me a link, whatever, and you can even send me a picture of what you've done, whether it's a GIF or whatever, to see how it's flying, or whether it's a JPEG of how you've put your flag onto it and the type of shading you've done. Don't hesitate. There's my email address. I give it to you. Send me feedback. It would be pretty cool to see what you guys are doing. Now, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. You can ask me at any time, even 1 o'clock in the morning. I might only respond the next day, depending on what time or what time zone you're in. But there you go, guys. You like this video, so hit like below, because you like this video. Well, because you guys, we as humans are expressive people. So what do we like to do? We like to be expressive. So be expressive. Hit that like button. And also subscribe to Active TV, because I don't know if you know this, but Active TV is not my channel. It's actually a channel that releases, we do like 3 or 4 videos a day. Alright, Situation Room, we have a very hilarious sitcom called Keeping Up with the Relatives. We have a whole lot of stuff every day. We have different shows released. Go check out our playlist. Go have a look. You guys will love it. Alright, so with me and Ryan, check you guys next week on a Blender tutorial. Cheers.